Hey everybody, this is John McGee with First Home Stories, and this time we're going to talk to Michael Leonard. He's the founder of InspireYourSuccess.com and is the author of Advice for My Younger Self. So he bought a house. How long ago was that?
It's actually going to be about 3 years next month.
And we're sitting in the condo complex by the pool right now as I record this, so that's nice. It's a beautiful day outside and nice shaded table here. So, good. Michael, tell me a little bit about yourself, and what we want to do is just get the whole story. So what was happening in your life at that time to lay the groundwork for then how you made the decision, et cetera, on the house. But tell me a little bit about yourself and then jump into the story.
Perfect. Yeah, thanks again for having me on. I appreciate it. So this will be, like you said, 3 years next month. And so at that time, I was working full-time, 9 to 5. I was doing sales at a place right down the street. And basically had been renting for about 4 years and really liked where I was. It was a good location and really nice area. It was just actually down the street from here, and I just started to get to the point where I realized that I really wasn't planning on leaving Scottsdale and enjoyed the area a ton, and just felt like I was starting to throw my money away with rent. So I wanted to go ahead and invest in a place and just start building some equity. And again, I was 27 at the time that I started looking, and again was trying to figure out like somewhere around here, and I had some specific requirements like 2 bed, 2 bath, and was trying to buy a place for my girlfriend and I to move in together. So that was kind of where I was and what I was trying to get from my first home.
So would you started going to it with your girlfriend? Or were you talking with her about what you wanted? And
yeah, that's a good question. We were living apart at the time. We had done long distance for about 2.5 years.
Oh, wow.
And she moved out here, and we were.
So she had moved out here before you bought?
Yeah, so she had moved out here, and she had a place, and we just gotten a dog, so we were a lot of back and forth. That was always the plan, was to move in, but wanted to get a place with enough size. I don't want to have to share 1 bed, 1 bath, and have the dog and everything. So my whole goal, the way I saw it, was to, motivation to get a new place and have a place we could share together. And so it worked out that I was able to find this place, but not a lot of options were super close, just because I had a lot of real specific requirements. Like I wanted to stay in the area, wanted to have a garage, didn't want a backyard or front yard. Like that was something I just really wasn't interested in.
You needed a place for the corgi, right?
Yeah, I needed a place for the corgi. She gets tired after like 10 minutes, so we didn't need a big place. But yeah, that was kind of the thing. Just wanted some more space, living together for the first time. Wanted to make sure we had plenty of space, and worked out well financially for both of us.
So tell me about how you found your real estate agent, how you found your lender, how that...
Yeah, so the real estate agent, actually, when I went into it, it was in March, and I actually bought the place in June. So I went into it thinking I was going to buy in like August. That was when my lease was up, thinking that it would all align perfect like that, and it moved very quickly. So when I went out to a first few open homes and found some places...
Okay, so you're just checking out open houses.
Yeah, I was like just checking out, and like had a general idea of what I was looking for, and there was about 6 or 7 complexes around here. I was still looking at, I think I only looked at 5 houses actually, or 5 complexes before I ended up buying, and I really just knew what I wanted. I lived right down the street from here, so I drove by this complex all the time, but no complex or no unit ever opened up. So I was like, if one opens up here, like I just know that's going to be it. It just felt like the perfect area, perfect size. It was pretty new, so that was what I was looking for, and really just looked at, I think 5, maybe on the 3rd or 4th unit that I looked at. I really liked the realtor. We just got along well. He understood what I was looking for. He was a younger guy too, and we just really got along well. And he helped me out, and I think this was the second place we looked at. As soon as he called and said this place opened up, I think I was at like 7 or 8 a.m. By noon, I was over here at lunch break taking a look at it.
Okay, so the real estate agent you found, was he somebody you found while you were going around at open houses?
Yeah, he was, I think, the 3rd unit. It was just a random, I think Zillow or Trulia at the time, whatever it was, that I found a place that I wanted to look at, and he was the listing agent from there.
You found him from Zillow or Trulia. Okay, so he was the face next to the ad for the
correct.
house.
Yep.
Okay.
And so I didn't really like that unit. It was really had a small like little loft, say considered a second bedroom, and didn't really like it, but I liked him, so I got his number and stayed in touch.
Was he representing the seller of that unit? Or?
Yeah. Yep. He was representing the seller. So.
Okay, that sounds good. So he turned out good. That sounds good. How about the money side? How did that all come together?
Yeah, so what specifically?
Like, how'd you find the mortgage guy? or how did you decide how much you wanted to put as a down payment? And
Yeah, totally. So my dad's always been really into real estate, and
cool.
always, he never was a stock market guy. Just grew up in a different era where, if you could buy land, that's something that always is going to be there. If you can buy a house, property. So he was always real big into that for his business. And so I always had that homeowner pride that I wanted to have. And so he talked to me a lot about that. And so one of the biggest things for the money side was, for me, I always wanted to have enough down payment to where I could try and avoid PMI, property mortgage insurance. So I was always looking to do 20%. I'd saved a ton.
So once you put 20% down, no PMI.
Right, exactly.
Which is real money. It was like hundreds of dollars a month.
Yeah, exactly. And then it just adds up. And so I wanted to keep the mortgage as low as I could too, because I think in the back of my mind, I always knew that the next few years I was going to take the leap of entrepreneurship and go out on my own. And I wanted to have, obviously the more you put down, the lower the mortgage is going to be. And so I wanted to have a really low payment, so that way I didn't have to stay at a job I didn't really love to stay in a house that I loved. So I was really looking for both. So my whole goal was 20%, and I really wanted to keep the mortgage. I was pretty specific with the mortgage broker that I wanted to keep my mortgage close to what I was paying for rent. And at the time, I think I was paying $1,025 at my 1-bedroom, 1-bath, and I ended up getting the first loan that I got for this place was $1,024 is what I was paying a month. So I actually got my payment down $1, obviously the down payment.
Congratulations.
Yeah. So I was very excited about that. That was always just something that I knew. And then, 2.5 years later, I ended up leaving the corporate world and going out on my own. And I think that's one of the reasons I was able to do it, because I didn't have a really high mortgage hanging over my head and feeling extra pressure to build a business and, make it real profitable instantly.
Yeah, so you had the opportunity, since you weren't so tied down with a big mortgage, to
Exactly.
freedom to more choices.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, Michael, so how did you get this mortgage, this loan officer, from your real estate agent? Was he the one who suggested?
Yeah, I did. So he was working pretty much.
He worked with your real estate agent a lot. Like I have my favorite mortgage.
Mm-hmm. Now I actually have a mortgage broker because I did a refinance about a year after I bought the place, and a really good friend of mine now. But originally when I bought the home, I didn't have anyone specific, so I worked with the realtor's agent that he just had. And
how about the guy that when you refinanced? How'd you know him? He was a friend of yours?
I met him on the golf course, actually.
Wow.
Yeah. We actually met. I got a really good rate. So my first time around was a 30-year fixed loan at 4.5% or 4.625. Really good. I just felt like that, again, that was the payment I wanted, and everything worked out. I'd go and play in this golf tournament with an old friend, end up getting paired with him. And by the 16th, 17th hole, I'd really become friends with these guys we were playing with. Golf, you're out there for 4 or 5 hours. And he's like, yeah, I think I can get you even better for 20 years. And I'm like, well, might as well, look at it and see what it is. And I think maybe a month and a half later, I'd already done the full refi. So I did the refinance only a year after buying the house.
So you moved it to 20 years. What happened to the monthly payment?
That was the best part. It went up $100.
And you went to 20. See,
yeah, and I didn't put any more equity, just the way we basically built it back into the loan. So it didn't cost me any money out of pocket, maybe like $500. Was able just to sign the 80 pages of documents again and get the house that I ended up saving $66,000 in interest over the course of the loan.
Yeah, you build up equity so much faster.
Yeah,
like after 5 years with a 30-year versus 5 years with a 20.
Right.
Holy mackerel, it's like triple the equity.
Right, exactly.
Okay, so Michael, tell me what this business is that you started up with the inspireyoursuccess.com, and it's not related to the buying of the condo, but tell me the story.
Yeah. So I basically...
Or maybe it's related to buying the condo, because you couldn't have done it if you had a bigger...
I think it all has really worked out together, and I had a plan. I feel like a long, long time ago, I always said I wanted to retire by 35. For some reason, I set that goal. I just never... My dad was an entrepreneur, and so I always felt like that was really the only way to do what you love and, make a good living. And I never really had that in my 20s. I was working. I was just worried about, getting a career, making some money. And I got I got basically to the highest sales position in my company, and it was a fun place.
It was a big company.
It was a big company. And so it took a while, but I learned a lot. I was, young 20s when I started, pretty green to everything. And so as I learned the sales process and just acquired more skills, I got to the top. But again, it was just to that point where I really didn't love what I was doing. And so when I was there, about the last year of it, I actually started a blog. At the time, it was called Super Millennial. I was just trying to help people with their finances, because I felt like when I graduated college and I got my first job, I knew absolutely nothing about the real world, and I was very, very frustrated. I remember it was my first job. We were going over employee stock program, 401ks, and health insurance, and I felt like I knew absolutely nothing. And I had a great GPA. I was a good student, but I just didn't know anything. And I kind of took it as a personal vendetta to right the ship. And so I spent years of my 20s just understanding finance, investing, saving. And so I really started doing all that, and it started working. I started saving, investing, and that's kind of where the homeowning process, I got to the point where I was like, well, I'm throwing money away with rent. Like, I really could be building equity. That was really the start of it all. Is I built a blog because I was helping so many of my friends out and giving them a little piece of advice with their 401k and just little things to try and help people out. And they were like, wow, you need to maybe build a blog. And I was like, oh, that sounds pretty cool. I could help more people that way. And this is kind of the time where I started reading a lot about people online, building online businesses. You don't have much startup. It's really just website and hosting and learning the landscape, which 3 years later, still learning a ton about it. But that was kind of the start of it all for me. So I started that the last year, basically. And then from there, I started compiling all these posts, and I realized that I wanted to publish a book.
Aha.
So that was kind of the culmination of all the posts and really putting it together in an orderly fashion, because, again, I felt like I never learned it in college. And I was just bummed, and I wanted to help people out that were going to be graduating, whether they're 18 or 21, really high school or college. So that was what I did, and published my first book through Amazon, Advice for My Younger Self, like you mentioned.
Yeah, I ordered it.
And
Looking forward
thanks.
to reading it.
So it's and it's short. I wanted to think, what would I actually have read at the time? And so it's 100 pages. It's about 20 or 21 principles of what you need to really just set yourself up. Because I think a lot of times in our 20s, we're strapped with debt. We're not thinking about the future. We're more of a survival mentality instead of trying to create abundance and wealth, just because we're usually just not making much. We have debt, and we're not taught anything. So
that's really crazy. Like, in high school, you don't learn anything. I think you're learning all these crazy subjects. Like, how many people are going to use algebra or two, but they don't tell personal finance. Apparently, there's about 13 states who require personal finance courses in high school. There needs to be a lot more of that, because that's like so practical, so valuable, and they don't teach it.
Right. Yeah, that was kind of what I always laughed about. Is in college I had to take electives, and they were things like astronomy. I mean, literally, it was like just some of these classes. I'm like, what is the point of this? Like, this is not what I want to do. This is no relevance. I was one of those people that would say this to the teacher, and usually get in trouble. But I'd pull off the grade. But I'm like, what are we doing? Like, this isn't related. If I wanted to be an anthropologist, sure, I should take that class. But as a business major, I felt like we should be taking classes that help us out, and didn't happen. So that was kind of what the book came about. Again, just want to make it short, easy to read, help as many people as I could. And
yeah,
now anytime I always carry copies with me, and anytime I'm playing golf and meeting somebody younger than me, or just meeting someone, like I was at the car wash a few days ago, and the guy saw the copy sitting on my front seat and asked what it was. I just gave him the copy. He was maybe 18, 19 years old. I just want to help people with it. It was never like, oh, I'm going to be a bestseller from this one book, but it was really just kind of getting my footing and understanding that you can make some money on it, but you can also help a lot of people.
Yeah, to make it so simple and quick, just to introduce the ideas and get it moving, because there's so much complexity. It can go, people will do books where it become too complex, too quick.
Right.
In fact, one of my sons did take a course at Arizona State University in personal finance when he was a
How
senior.
was it?
He liked it a lot. Great, Michael. This is really super valuable to hear the story. Oh, so give me the advices. What did you learn? What can you tell your top tips for other people who are thinking of buying a house?
Yeah, so I think...
Oh, by the way, I should add that you have a great blog post on your website. So the website is inspireyoursuccess.com, and it's got a great blog post. It's real short about your experience of buying, and you had some tips on that too. So I thought I'll link to it on this podcast.
Perfect.
I'll make a link to that post.
Yeah, I'd say the biggest thing is just to be prepared. It's, again, not something that we're taught. How to buy a house. It's a lot of work though, and so I think.
And your biggest.
Yeah, and it's the biggest expense, right? So it is a little frustrating there. So I was really prepared. I think financially I had the money saved and I was starting to research a little bit, but still at the end of the day it's a long process. You got to go through pre-qualifying, pre-approval, securing the loan, escrow. There's just a lot of stuff. So I think the biggest thing is to be prepared, understand the process. Like, make sure your credit's in good shape. If you don't have good credit, it's going to be real hard to get a good loan, and that's going to save you thousands over the long run.
Mortgage loan officers are really good at advice. Typically, they can say, hey, your credit's bad, you can't, but do this and this in 6 months or whatever, you should be able to qualify. So they
Right.
tend to be really good.
But you
at
want to
giving
go
you
into
advice.
it, if you're ready to buy a house, you need to, like you said, do that 6 months before, just because it takes time to change your credit if it needs some work. So I think that was I was already in a pretty good spot, high 700s or whatever it was, and so I was really just wanting to get the best loan possible. So I would say have the credit built up, and then I think one of the biggest things is to buy maybe a little less than you need. I think that a lot of people I've seen and my friends sometimes overextend themselves. Just because you get qualified for a $300,000 loan doesn't mean you need to go for 300. And sometimes people even go over. So I think I was, probably something like that, and I used maybe about half of it. So my whole thought was, again, just if you have a little less in it, you'll have some more cash saved up, because stuff does break. First year in here, air conditioning broke, not cheap in Arizona. Gotta have it.
Yeah, you gotta have it.
So it's like little things like that, though, that we just don't we take for granted. At least I did when I was renting. If anything broke, I was calling the maintenance guy. They were fixing it for free. But stuff adds up over the house, so I think kind of having a second emergency fund for your house is crucial, and you can have that obviously by just not spending as much on it. And then the bigger you buy, like if you're in a 1-bed, 1-bath, and you move to a 3-3 or something, that's 2 more rooms, 2 more bedrooms. You got to furnish, and just you're spending a lot of money with the down payment and closing costs, so it just gets expensive at the beginning. So I think buying a little less sometimes makes it feel like you're not drowning as much and can have some extra cash saved up in case stuff does break once you get all settled.
Your timing was good, because I was checking on the MLS, and there was a
Yeah.
same size unit as yours sold for like $45,000 more than you paid in just 3 years. So that worked out. Your timing was good.
Definitely, yeah. That was something too I really looked at, and I actually ended up when I bought it, I paid an extra 10 grand over asking because it was so low. I put in an offer that day, and then it got rejected because someone outbid me, and I ended up going an extra 10,000 over because I figured this is the exact unit I want. It's literally the perfect one. It was just a no-brainer to me. I was like, 10,000 spread out over 30 years is it's not worth having to look again and find another place and settle. So yeah, I ended up doing that. But I think it is essential to look around of what other places are, so that way you're not overspending.
It sounds like by that point, you were feeling pretty confident that you knew the market and what prices were and what your options were. So just
a lot of time at my old job on Zillow.
It takes a lot of time to be able to feel confident you know the market and what things are worth.
I think just asking a lot of questions too. I mean, I was asking the mortgage broker and my real estate just so many questions because, closing costs. That's something I was like, wait, what's that?
Talk about closing costs. You mentioned that in your blog post.
Yeah. That just snuck up on me. You're spending thousands of dollars on a down payment, and then all of a sudden they want a couple thousand more to sign some paperwork, and you're like, really? And I was not aware of that, I guess. And
it was probably more than a couple thousand.
Yeah, it was. But that's something too you can ask the seller, in negotiations to see if they'll cover a bit of it. And so I was able to have my real estate agent get them to cover a part of it, get the washer and dryer and a couple other little house things. So you might as well ask. There's really no harm in it, and you can maybe save yourself some money.
There's a common ethos in real estate is it doesn't hurt to ask. People ask for crazy stuff.
I believe it.
Because what are they going to do? They say, no, okay, fine.
Right. And I'd say be prepared to move quick. I literally think within a day I saw the place, put in 2 offers, and started the pre-approval process. And sometimes it takes me a couple days to decide on an Amazon purchase. So, when it comes to buying a house, make sure you're prepared, you're ready, your finances, your credit, just because things move fast if you don't want to lose a place you really like.
Yeah, you got to get all your ducks in a row because, just exactly what you said. Because otherwise you feel like, I don't know what's happening. You have to trust people you don't want to trust. You want to do the research beforehand. So sort of trust but verify your real estate agent, trust but verify your loan officer. So there is a thing about closing costs. It's really common that people don't expect the closing costs. Your mortgage guy knew you had enough money to cover the mortgage, the closing costs. Otherwise, they wouldn't have approved you.
Right.
Because you have to have some cash to pay for the closing costs. But there seems to be like this secret thing in real estate. They don't mention closing costs because it might scare off buyers because if they realize, oh, you're this far in, you can't back out now. Oh, no, it's going to be an extra $5,000 for, or whatever it is for closing.
No, 100%. Right.
So it's funny that they don't mention that up front more often. I guess they're afraid to scare off buyers.
Yeah, and obviously the bigger the house, the bigger the closing costs for it too. Yeah, it adds up quick.
Hey, well, good, Michael. This has been great. I really appreciate it, and you got a great deal here. And when I saw that other unit sold just like yours for $45,000 more in 3 years, it's like, ooh, that really paid off.
Exactly.
Even though you paid 10 more than list, it's still
I knew it was a good deal. So, and this is a cool area. We got a lot of stuff going up around us, so that's helping build the value of this place. And yeah, I think make sure you're ready for it, because it is an investment of your time and your money, and just if you're planning on moving, soon, it's probably not a great idea. I think some people feel like just because you're at a certain age, you should buy a house. Like, if you buy a house at 40 or 50 for your first time, that's just as cool as 25 or 30. Like, don't feel like you have to do it if you're not in a space financially or with your own life.
Yeah, you're just settled in. Okay, so your website is inspireyoursuccess.com, but before you go, talk to me about golf. What are you doing on golf?
Yeah, so one of the reasons I left the 9 to 5, this week is my 1-year anniversary, and really left for 2 reasons: to build my business and help as many people as I can, really just create a life that they love. And the other one was to pursue professional golf. So I'm working towards that. I'm going to be turning pro later this year or early next year. So it's it's a lot of fun, and just took a lot of time. Obviously, you couldn't really work at the day job and do that. So now it's a lot of early mornings, getting up 4:35 every day and getting out there to the course early, getting the practice, some work in, and then spending the rest of the time in the home office. And so it's a fun juggle between the two, but just really energized to do both. And now I'm actually starting some golf advice and stuff on YouTube and other places. So trying to help people on the golf side of things too.
You got a YouTube golf site?
So I have a YouTube channel. It has a whole golf playlist.
What's the name of the channel?
So it's Inspire Your Success is the channel.
Oh, and it has golf on that.
Yeah, it's actually starting. So I was just telling you before we talked today that I signed up for a 100-day, 100-video YouTube challenge with a group of entrepreneurs to really help build our brands online and just put out as much content to help people as we can. So. And
that's mainly golf or exclusively golf?
It's just going to have a golf playlist on there. From there, I'd like to offer some sort of coaching and online services just to help people because people want to play great golf too. So
Michael, how's your golf game?
It's going well. It's a process.
Do you feel like you're a lot better now than you were a year ago?
Oh yeah, that's funny you say that. I have a tournament next week that's one of the biggest ones of the year, and I was thinking how much I've grown over that past year, and really just learning. And I always like to say, fail your way to success. So you just keep failing and keep learning, and it's you're not done unless you quit. So just keep moving forward, and it'll work out.
Great. Thanks so much, Michael. I appreciate all your time.
Thank you so much.
I'll do you a big favor.
I appreciate it.
Take care.